Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Circle Up and Get Real, where we talk about things. Oh, I think it's starting now. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Circle Up and Get Real, where we talk about things that matter with people who matter. And today I am contemplating a lot of things with a lot of reasons. I can go back to what sparked all these thoughts I'm having today. So I'm just going to share them with you in sort of a stream of consciousness way, and it will show up on the podcast, which if you're listening to this live, that's one opportunity. And I record them on Facebook Live, and then I invite anybody who has any comments to put them in the comments. It will come back later as a podcast that is edited, and then the video goes on my YouTube channel. So I have a lot of ways that I put the word out about things. And a couple of jeepers, I could go back and try to trace back all of these thoughts I've been having in the last couple of days, but we're in a really interesting time in history right now on October 30th, 2024, as I record this. We are about 1 week out from electing a new president. It will either be a former president or it will be the first woman president. So either way, it's going to be kind of historical. I don't think we've ever had a president go out, not get reelected, and then come back and try again. I don't think. I could be wrong about that. And that whole process has created a lot of different feelings and emotions for people. It feels to me like we're very divided as a nation, and at the same time, it feels like we have so much opportunity and possibility in the space we find ourselves. So that's sort of the foundation where I want to start. I'm also studying several books in several different groups, and one of them is the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, which I've talked about a lot. So I want to share some of the dialogue that happened today in one of my mastermind study groups. I also want to talk about some awarenesses I've had based on some of the situations I've found myself in, either as an employee or a partner or involved with a business idea and that process for me. So I'm not exactly sure where to start as I throw this out today. So I'll just start with the world. The world will be what the world is, regardless of whether I think I need to control it or that I need to tell somebody to be different than they are. And that really comes to me from a lot of early programming. So I'll start there. When I was really little, I was very precocious and I learned very quickly. I learned to read when I was 3 because my mom was tutoring a boy in our house who had gotten into a farm accident and couldn't go to school. So he came to our house and my mom was teaching him how to read, a first grader. And here I am 3 and I think it's really fun, and he probably doesn't love it that there's a 3-year-old running around that's learning these things at the same time he's learning them. And so there was this intrigue and also this like bad thing about learning for me from a very early age. I was so curious and I loved to read, and yet there was this I shouldn't be in this space. This is his space to learn, and I just think there was a lot of different energy in my life at that point. So my mom was a teacher, and she stayed at home with my sister and me when my sister was 2 years younger, and when she was born until I went back to school, my mom was home. And those were really, I remember being very curious and fun and learning to read and learning flashcards and all kinds of things. That was just really fun for me. I also remember being that age and being surrounded by my mom's mother. I especially remember that grandma, who was very religious, very strict in her religious upbringing, and then raised my mom and her siblings the same way. And then I was raised that same way. And so my grandma would always want to know, if I met anybody new, what church they went to, so that we would know how to pray for them, because we had to really, do a lot of work on the people who weren't of the same denomination we were. And I remember learning about pygmies in Africa. I don't know why. I don't know why this sticks with me, but the pygmies in Africa, that was what I was learning about in something I was reading as a 3 or 4 year old. And my grandma would say, well, we need to make sure we teach them about Jesus. And for me as a 3 or 4 year old, I thought that was a really heavy lift. So I was worried that the pygmies didn't know Jesus, and she said it was my job to make sure they did. Now that felt really, really heavy. And as I thought about that, going back again, I'm totally reflecting, lots of years later. And I wonder how much of what we are as humans comes from the conditioning and programming we had early on with best intentions, or, with not best intentions, in that process of who we become. It's fortunate or unfortunate, the circumstances around our births and our upbringings. At some point as adults, we have the ability to make a choice, and we have the ability to stay with what we've been taught, or to enhance what we've been taught, or to move beyond what we've been taught. I know that's true, that we have the choice. I don't know that we all have the awareness. And so every time I think about things that have me take pause and ponder, I am grateful for my awareness. I am grateful for the place I find myself in this time and place in the universe, despite the heaviness that the political world is exhibiting, I guess is the word I'm thinking. I don't have to buy into that if I choose not to, because I do have the power of choice. I do have the ability to choose. And in that space of my own mindset, my own awareness, my own personal development journey, oh, I tell you, that is just the biggest gift that I was ever given, by my own choice or by luck or whatever, because that really does give me the ability to thrive and not just survive some of the things that could be really heavy. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about being a little kid and recognizing that my grandma was sure that I needed to tell everybody in the world about Jesus. And so it was my job to make sure everybody knew not only the Jesus we knew as Christians, but the Jesus we knew as the specific denomination we were in, because that was really distinct from all of the other Christian denominations, to say nothing about the Jewish people or the Hindu or the Buddhists. I mean, wow, it was just a lot to take on as a little kid. And I think about, how did we know that that was the only way? And how did I know that the pygmies wanted to know about Jesus? And how did I know that this was the right thing to do? And I thought about that all back then, but just kind of buried it and went with the flow. It was a lot easier than having to question everything. But as an adult, those questions have never really left me. And so going back to believing that the way I've been trained, the way I've been conditioned, is the only way to think about something makes some sense as an adult, when we find ourselves in that space politically right now, where it's my way or you're stupid, basically. If you don't think this way, then you're dumb, or insert vile comment here, because we're seeing a lot of that. And I'm just fascinated when I can pull myself out of the angst of that to be in observation mode, how many varied opinions there are on not only two sides, but so many different shades, from red to blue and then purples in the middle. My goodness, there are so many ways to look at things. There are the wide parts of that, the wings of things. And man, I can't imagine how heavy it must be to be on the outer limits of some of those ways of thinking, where, like me as a 3-year-old, it's my job to make sure all the pygmies know about Jesus. Man, that's a heavy lift. Oof. It's got to be, they have to believe my way, and that's the only way they're going to be saved from eternal damnation. I mean, my goodness, that's a lot. And I've heard some of the ways people are, again, observationally, it seems that there's a bit of convincing going on. You need to believe this way or else. You need to see the world this way or else. Everything from, oh my goodness, I don't even want to go that wide. The widest parts of these conversations are just, to me, completely science fiction-y. not even in my realm of understanding in the way I see the world. And that doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean they're wrong, not at all. That would be judgmental, that wouldn't be observational. So I'm working on staying neutral, staying neutral. But here's what it's funny because I get a tickle in my throat whenever I try to talk about something that I feel is really important, but that I don't always have context for. Or I feel like I'm venturing out into something that may be beyond my expertise. So I'm going to cough. I'll edit this out. Or not. Or not. This has only happened a couple of times. And I know it means something. I'm just not quite sure exactly what it means. I feel I do have a voice. I feel I do have something to share. I think I get stopped, and then I question when I get stopped, and I'm recognizing that, pushing through, continuing in spite of, because it's the same thing. It's the same feeling in my throat. It's the same feeling in my, it's a tickle on the left side of my throat. It feels dry. And then I breathe in, and then it feels irritated. And it's so interesting because it feels irritated. Staying quiet feels irritating. Not saying what I believe. It's just not to say this is true for everyone. This is just my truth. And whenever I feel stopped in doing that, I get a tickle. Even now. So I know pushing through it is really important. Thank you, people who are watching and supporting me in this tickle. So what I find interesting is the people who are trying desperately to convince me that their side is right as we talk about politics. They either will say things like, I can't believe you fell for that story and that you don't believe the truth. Or they will be, oh, I really hope you come to your senses. I really hope that you recognize that, your way is wrong. And it's funny because I don't even have a way. I don't have a side. I'm not picking a side in this election. I'm not like for the blue or for the red. I'm really doing my best to stay independent. And it's just fascinating to me how both sides of the aisle, I guess, are making, are seeming to have an easier time talking about it than I do, which is fascinating to think about. So the conclusion I'm coming to today is the world will be what the world is, regardless of whether I tell it to be some other way. So this attitude comes from a book I've been listening to for the past week. Actually, I've listened to two, and they're by the same author. And the first one that I listened to is The Courage to Be Disliked. And the second one is The Courage to Be Happy. And they're both about Adlerian psychology. And they're fascinating to me. I'm not through the second book yet, so I can't give you more than just what I'm learning so far. But it has to do with not looking outside yourself for admiration or appreciation or direction, because we know already inside of us. And we've forgotten that because we haven't been conditioned to think for ourselves. And that's been a topic that's been on my mind and heart a lot this whole election season. If we don't know better, we can't do better. If we don't know how to use critical thinking skills because we've never been taught or given the opportunity, I get it. We're going to fall into the loudest voice. And so we're going to listen to the people whose voices are loudest. And we're going to say, well, yeah, I guess that's right. So I'll follow that. And I've done the same thing. I've looked for permission all my life because I certainly can't know. There's no way I could know things. I've had a really low self-esteem for most of my life. How could I possibly know anything? So I've been working through that. And one thing that I've learned through a lot of the leadership development that I've either read about, studied about, been exposed to, is that one way to live into your leadership is to find somebody who is doing something that you really admire, appreciate, aspire to, and follow that person. I've heard it said that we should stand on the shoulders of giants. And I've thought about that a lot, where I think the moral of that story is you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to do it all yourself. You can go where somebody's already gone stand on their shoulders and do what they've done. And the more I've been thinking about that, I've had back and forth ideas about this. So I need to find somebody else who's already doing something that I really want to do what they did, follow them, and I will be golden. So I stand on their shoulders and see what they see. Maybe I see a little bit more because I'm higher than they are. So that's one. And then I started writing this down today. Shoulders. Shoulders. The word shoulders. I'm standing on somebody's shoulders. And the first part of that word is should. should. So the shoulders. should is should. ers is shoulders, but I have to do what they did if I stand on their shoulders. I should do what they've done if I stand on their shoulders. And I'm wondering if the people upon whose shoulders I think I want to stand always want me to stand on their shoulders. Because there could be, what I'm noticing about leadership, there are people who have been guided, led, whatever, out of fear, like fear of what will happen if I don't. And then there are people who are led, guided, directed by inspiration. What will happen if I do? And I wonder if I decide I want to stand on somebody's shoulders who doesn't want me to see more than they see. And those shoulders, you should do it this way. If I see something other than what they see from their shoulders, I can see where they would want to pull me down. Oh, no, you can't see that. I'm the one who went first. I'm the one who did this. That's what fear does. And so then I wonder about, do they even want me to stand on their shoulders? And is that why I've had struggles most of my career? To find somebody who's doing what I want to do, to stand on their shoulders, to see something else, see a different vision, see beyond where they see, ask a question because I'm curious, and then get pulled down. Oh, no, you can't see that. Now, again, this is just a story, but I'm exploring this. Could that be why I get a tickle in my throat when I can't talk about things that are hard to talk about? Could it be that there could be something I could add that has value? All of these are just things I'm really pondering today. So if I think about that for myself, and I go back to Adlerian psychology and the books that I've been listening to, the courage to be disliked and the courage to be happy, I have to ask myself, what is it that has me not be satisfied with what I am doing on my own? What is it that has me be restless and discontented? Is it how I'm wired? Is it something that I chose before I was born? Did my spirit, my genius, choose something to come into this lifetime to achieve or experience? All of these are just a lot of ponders that I've been having. Why can't I just go along to get along? Why is it that I seem to have to ask a question that would move beyond? I know one of my strengths in the Strengths Finder is maximizer. So somehow I'm wired to see something and want to maximize it. And yet I've been discouraged from doing that because I've been standing on the shoulders of people who seem to not want me to see beyond where they see. And so I wonder, do I listen to commands of people who are shoulding on me because I'm standing on their shoulders, 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 and I'm just wondering about this. Do I need permission to stand on their shoulders? Do I need an invitation to jump up there? Are these people who see what's really inside me and want me to see beyond where they go? Because I think those people are out there too. I'd like to believe I'm one of those. Please stand on my shoulders. Please see beyond what I see. Let's go together. Let's just live full out. That's why I think whatever happens in this election, it's what has to happen because it will be the collective consciousness of the people who elected whoever it is. It will be what it is. It won't necessarily be what I want it to be. And I think I know that's going to be true for whichever side isn't the winner. There will be somebody out there who believes this is the best way to lead our country forward. But there will be, in I guess a week out, there's 50% of the people who believe the exact opposite. So we are going to find ourselves in kind of a pickle, potentially. Or we could find ourselves in a place that just needs some light shown on the way forward. And in that space of light being shown on the way forward, I kind of think that will be helpful either way. Yet, is it going to be light that blinds people? Is it going to be light that shines the way forward? Is it going to be darkness that asks us to think about things that have already been and try to get back to them? I don't know today, October 30th, 2024, where we will be. Yet, I recognize, see again by examining the things that I think I've always known but have tried not to know, that I need to see how I'm wired. I need to see the picture, big picture. I need to see how things fit together. I have strategy or strategic as one of my strengths as well. So it helps when I can see the big picture to know how my piece fits. And when I can see the picture, when James was talking today, my mentor was talking about the puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. And if you pour out all the pieces and you take away the picture on the cover, it takes a lot longer to put that puzzle together. So I like to see the finished picture. I like to see or envision what it's going to look like, feel like, smell like, taste like when we've accomplished or achieved or experienced that dream or vision I have. But that's me. That's how I'm wired. That doesn't mean everybody is, and it doesn't mean that everybody needs to be. In my experience of living, I love collaboration. I love having conversations with people to enhance all of us. I just think that is so awesome. When we get together to yell at each other about not believing the same way somebody believes, that's so demoralizing to me. But that's not to say that's not effective for some people. The challenge I have is that I welcome all perspectives, because I believe that it's only with all the perspectives we can make the best choice. And at some point, the choice needs to be made. The decision needs to be made, and we need to go forward, because talking about it forever doesn't affect the situation in the way that it could if we just tried something and admitted we'd made a mistake. And if we do that and we can go forward, make a mistake, readjust, like the GPS when you turn the wrong way and it says recalibrating, refiguring, and then it'll just take you where you know you want to go, even if you took a wrong turn somewhere. So all of these are just really going around in my head today, based on a lot of things that I've put into my brain to help stimulate this thought. Books, podcasts, conversations, a lot of stimulus for me plants different seeds. And when I can water and fertilize and nurture those seeds that are planted in ways that move me forward, I think that's where I exercise my power of choice. And I recognize that just because I didn't go first in a way of seeing the world doesn't mean that I'm wrong or bad. Just because I see something before somebody else does, it doesn't mean I'm better than. It just means that I want to be really selective about whose shoulders I choose to stand on. And to recognize that shoulders, S-H-O-U-L-D, should. I resist being told what I should do, or when people tell me, you should know better. I end up beating myself up about, or have in the past, beat myself up about, right, you're right, I should be the shoulders upon which other people are standing, instead of me always looking for those shoulders to stand on. I think it's time that I just go. I just walk in the direction of my dream and know that I'm going to have to adjust, because I don't know everything right now. I love the word cottywomple, because cottywompling means to travel purposefully toward a vague destination. And I'm going to go. I may shift my directions a little bit if I learn something along the way. But I think I'm at the point where I have to go and hope that others will want to stand on my shoulders so that they can see further than I can see. I just have to stop looking for people upon whose shoulders I can stand and then ask them questions, which makes them upset and pulls me off their shoulders, and then we're both tumbling along the path. That has just come to me in this conversation. So whether or not you recognize that you did this, you offered me a listening space today to work this out for myself. And so this is why I love this podcast, Circle Up and Get Real. Not normally, sometimes, sometimes I have guests and we talk about a specific subject, or we talk about the guest. And I help the guest tell his or her story so that you can know more people. And I've met amazing people through my podcast. And then once in a while, I just get thoughts out of my head. And you, the listeners, whether or not there's anybody here live, people have come in and out. It's kind of fun to watch the viewers. I think I overwhelm people. I know I do. I know I overwhelm people. And that's okay, because that's me being real. You notice that my tickle has gone away. You notice that I don't have the dry throat like I did when I was trying to speak this before I had the confidence to speak it. So this is a really great example for me and for everybody that sometimes you just need to go through, like Brene Brown calls it, get through the rumble, get through the hard parts, just keep going. Les Brown says, if you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep going. Keep speaking even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't know what you're going to say, even when you recognize that not everybody's going to want to hear what you have to say. Sometimes things just need to be said. And in this case, I needed to hear what I said. I'll go back and listen to it later because I needed to hear this. So thank you for offering the listening space for me today. And as always, go get real, or at least dip your toe in real. Radical, energized, authentic, learning focused. Do what you can to step into your own space of you, because the world really does need you. And that can be a little W world or a whole wide world. Don't be overwhelmed by your own amazingness, your own light. And by the way, that reminds me, book is coming, very close. The book is called Just Give a Shit, and it's very close. So I look forward to having that out before Thanksgiving. And hey, come back to this podcast at some point next week when you're upset about the election or you're overjoyed by the election, whatever it might be, and just recognize, see it again, that que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Whether or not you're in control of it, it needs to be what it is. The world, the universe, the United States has survived this long without you being upset about it. And if we believe in higher awareness or spirituality of some God, I believe that there's always light. Always, always, always light. And I'll do my best to bring it. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you again.